Hey, welcome to In the Chute, where Kalen asks a question, I give an answer, and hopefully you guys learn. Kalen, what do you got?
All right. Uh, cowboy hats. People will normally look at, not me, obviously, and they'll be like, "Hey, what determines what type of hat you're wearing?" And I'm not necessarily talking about style. Sometimes that's more regional and whatnot, but rather straw versus felt. You'll notice in a lot of our videos, people will see dad in his straw hat during one certain time of the year, and then his felt hat in another time of the year. And if I'm with him in the wintertime and he travels south, he tends to swap hats in the middle of the winter, surprisingly enough. So I wanted to say, what determines straw versus felt and why is it that way?
Do you want to keep your head warm or do you want to keep it cool? As cool as you can in
Word.
100-degree heat. You're a fool if you're wearing a felt hat in a 100-degree day, but I mean, there's guys that do it cooking their egg inside that cranium of theirs, but it's weather dependent. It's as simple as that. In the wintertime, felt is good, or fall. And I have even getting a warm early spring day, and oh man, I'll throw a straw hat on. It feels kind of funny, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it isn't like what does that women do? Can't wear white after Labor Day? Is that right?
Oh yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anybody follows any of that anymore, these fashion trends, but our hats are, I guess they are kind of a fashion statement in a way,
Yeah.
but I mean, you'll see somebody who they wear a straw hat year round because a straw hat is a whole lot cheaper to buy than a felt hat, and you'll see them wearing a straw hat in the middle of winter, like, yeah, you're new, or you don't, you're dork. I mean, there's a lot of judgment that goes along with somebody's style of hat they have and what they wear, and you know, if you got stampede strings that you got tied around your chin,
Oh yeah.
you might want to keep headed east till somebody accepts you. So I don't know.
It is
It's
interesting though that you bring that up because you're talking about, and I'm talking about like the felt part of the South, because there are some regions, like I don't know how they do it, but I've seen people in like Arizona and New Mexico, and the style there is more of a flat brim. There's no real curve upward or anything like that. It's a flat, like circular brim, and they wear felt year round. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I don't understand what is going through your noggin. No, most of the time I've seen it's a lighter color. I'll give them that. It's not like a black or a dark blue or anything
Right.
like that, but it's like a white beigeish kind of eggshell or something. But they are still wearing felt in the middle of that 100-degree area of the United States, and I'm just like, it boggles my mind that they can do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's some of that is also regional or cultural. I mean, there's lots of different subcultures in in horsemanship, cattle. This whole industry has got a lot of different subcultures that people don't recognize or understand or even know about. So yeah, and a lot of that's based on region where you're at. Then that southwest part of that country, they can also get a lot of monsoon type stuff at
Mm,
times, and straw hats don't carry a lot of water. They'll fall down around your ears, and I've had felt hats do the same thing in the fall, or late spring. You start getting some rain or something, and they'll get a little soggy. They'll keep the rain off of you, but they'll hold up a little bit better than a straw hat generally, and dry out better and maintain their shape. The straw gets soaked up. That's kind of tough on that hat. It'll start to buckle and wrinkle, and yeah, a little hard to manage. But yeah, that your observation of flat brim versus curved brims, it's all where you're at. Um, they all are supposed to be designed to keep the sun off your face,
right.
which you can see my forehead's pretty white, but below my eyes is a little darker.
And
It works mostly.
I was gonna say the face and the back of the neck for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and that's where that term redneck, really comes from. It's people who work outside, and the sun hits them in the back of the head, back of the neck, and that turns them brown, turns them red if they're pretty light colored to begin with. But that's it's a sign of a working person. So it's not really derogatory. It's kind of taken that way, but that hat can only protect so much, and your neck isn't one of them necessarily all the time.
Now, has there ever been a time where, this might be a little weird, but like middle of the summer, you're wearing like straw hat or something lighter, and then suddenly you go to an event or a gathering or something where you decide it's more important to switch to a felt hat because maybe the felt hat's more, I don't know, it's a little fancier, it's a little more dressier.
Good question. No, that happens. Weddings,
Yep. I was
you
gonna
know,
say
if you have to dress up a little bit, you know, and I've gotten boots that are a little shinier. You know,
mm,
I call them my funeral boots or wedding boots. Wait a minute. Is there a difference? uh yeah, and you'll throw on a, you know, your best felt hat, your dress hat, and you'll wear that to something that's really a formal thing, really important. And even if it's hot out, you'll wear that just because of the dressiness of it, and kind of shows the importance of, I guess, your view of how important that event is. So
yeah,
yeah, I don't wear straw hats to weddings generally,
right.
you know, but you know, I was at a memorial service yesterday for another local gal who went to school with her kids, know them, friends with them, and it was 100, nearly 100 degrees out, and there wasn't a felt hat there, I can tell you that. And there was, you know, a few of us are wearing straw hats, and they were straw hats, but brand new straw hats too.
Right. Yeah, there's a classic progression amongst the hats, the
There
felts
is.
or the straw hats for sure.
They get retired. They do, you know. And I was looking for a new straw hat here the other day, and we were in town, and we picked up a couple pair of pants for me. I go through them fairly regular. They get progressively bad as well. But I was looking for a hat, and I was like, oh, God, they just suck. I didn't like any of the styles. So I guess if
Yeah.
you look at that, you know, I was like, I don't like the look of that. I'm not wearing that. And we got home, and a couple days later, your mom was going through some stuff after uh, this move that we went through with bringing all her stuff here, and a lot of my stuff was with it. But she pulls out some box of hats, and here's a brand new straw hat I forgot I bought last fall. That's like,
There you go.
hey, that's pretty nice. Oh, really like a bunch of squirrels that hide stuff and don't realize we hid it, and we'll find it some other time.
No, you brought up something that I think it's not necessarily about hats, but it's applicable to like the wedding situation. Like I remember a little over a year ago, my best friend got married, and um that was another one where they said, hey, they want everybody to be casual except for like the bridal party. And so everybody showed up in really nice jeans, shirt. I think dad had his nicest straw hat on at the time. I was part of the groomsmen, so I was a little angry at him, but I understood why. We had a three-piece top, really nice jeans, and I literally polished everybody's boots because everybody used the best boots they had, and a lot of them were already scuffed up and they had dirt on them. So I cleaned them all up, polished them up, and we looked at least presentable. And then of course we had felt hats for the wedding, and they were all, everything was black. Of course it was in the middle of summer. And I told him, I was like, I hate you so much. It's a good thing I love you because woof. And I was right. I was it was not that hot of a day, believe it or not, but I was still roasting. And as soon as I could, I started shedding things. But
Yeah.
I think the important part there is that even though things were more casual, like when we did the wedding reception the night before, the reverend he he was talking to me, and he goes, oh, I only brought like shorts and like a shirt and stuff like that. Like I brought like a tee, not like a button up. I'm like, oh really? And he was stressing a little bit because he saw all of us getting a little fancier for the reception. And he goes, yeah, I've never been to a reception where, you know, people kind of get dressed up for it. And I explained to him, I said, I was like, hey, uh honestly, I've never been to that many weddings, but I'll tell you from the weddings I have been to, they've always been like this, where you still get a little dressed up. And here's why. And he goes, okay, enlighten me. I go, all these guys that just showed up today, they were out in the hay fields yesterday or this
Right.
morning, or they were working cows, and we're always working. And the only time that we don't, the only times that we get together, normally we're coming out of the fields and we got like an 18 pack of beer and a bunch of mud all over us and sweat and grime, and we're just disgusting. And that's how we see each other. But this is a special event. This
Right.
is a like a lot once in a lifetime event,
And
hopefully.
it's for her and her mom, and you know, the
Right.
moms. It's
And
for those ladies.
and it's to, you know, it's to celebrate something with them and to do something, you know, a little special for the bride, because obviously she sees all of us stinky guys normally, but this is a special event. So that's
That's her
why,
day. Yeah.
yeah, this is why we're putting on a little nicer jeans, a better hat, you know, maybe maybe a better button up or something. He goes, oh, I didn't think of it that way. I was like, yeah,
Mhm.
it's just something to as a perspective on our end. He goes, oh, okay. And he kind of understood things a little better after that. And I thought that was kind of cool. But
Yeah, it's a little that's a little interesting, but you know, you talk about wearing that black hat out there in the sun. Every hat, quality hat, has that little piece of leather that sits on your head, and it's called a sweatband for a
yep.
reason. It's to keep that's to help protect that hat from you sweating. And you know, no matter what, I don't care whether you got a really nice felt hat, you're going to protect it. You know, I've had people set my hat down and they're going to touch it, and I said, you know what, you don't want to do that. That hat is worth more than your whole body.
Yeah.
And you know, kind of gotten into some interesting conversations where I said, you don't touch somebody's hat. You ask them if they move it or if they allow you to go ahead and touch it
Yeah.
and move it.
I'll
You just
normally
don't do that.
I'll normally say, hey, you mind if I move this real quick?
Yeah.
I mean, you're my
Yeah.
dad, so I really don't care. I'll just pick it up and move it. But yeah, most people would be like, hey, do you mind if I move
Right.
your cranium protector
Right.
real quick? But yeah,
Right. Yeah. No, but it's hats are interesting. You don't screw with somebody's hat. It's you just don't. And it doesn't matter whether you're a guy, especially if it's on somebody's head.
yeah,
You don't touch anybody's hat. That I've seen and may or may not have been involved in some fist fights, allegedly over somebody screwing with your hat. You don't do it. And then of course you add alcohol to that situation,
yeah,
and then it can
volatility.
really go, yeah, it can go south in a hurry. So yeah, there's a real cultural thing about hats, whether it's a straw hat. I don't know, these goofy caps you guys wear. The same way. I mean, people are protective of their hats. They're kind of part of their personality and part of what they're trying to make a statement about.
Yeah. The nice thing about these things is I can put the brand on it. It's harder to do with the felt and straw hats. We could
Yeah,
probably
you're not
swing
gonna
it,
do
but
that.
it's a little more difficult.
Well, the big deal used to be hat pins, putting hat pins
Yeah.
in your hat. And
They make little tiny brands now.
yeah, I mean, they're kind of cool. I mean, I've had a number of things, you know, little tiny little horse head, you know, I've done that, and uh, you know, flight wings. Became a pilot, little teeny tiny set of flight wings. You know, there's just different things you can put, and I've seen people god those things up like they're, what do you guys call that?
Peacocking?
Well, yeah, but when you got something and you put all kinds of stuff in,
Oh,
bedazzle.
bedazzle. Jesus.
Yeah,
All right. We need
remember
to
that
finish
from
this
way back.
conversation. All right. With that, that's a straw versus felt hats in a little bit of Western fashion. So with that, we'll take this conversation and put it out to pasture.